Hi, everybody. I hope that you're having a good day today. And in today's live, I am going to be talking about how to help the primary caregiver who says they don't want help or they don't need help. So, this question actually came from someone in my group, and it was about her father who is taking care of her mother, and her mother is actually in a place where she's staying, but in a nursing home, and her father visits every day. But the daughter still wants to be helpful, of course, because that's how we are, big-hearted. And so she was asking me, I want to figure out what I can do to help my dad. He claims that he doesn't need help. So, first I, of course, asked the obvious question, which, have you asked what he needs? And she says, yes, I've taken him out to dinner, I do some chores for him, but I'm not quite sure, exactly what he needs because I'm just guessing. So it occurred to me that I don't know if you've heard of Gary Chapman's 5 Love Languages. Gary Chapman actually has a book out, and this theory does have kind of Christian background to it. But even if you're not religious at all, it is super helpful for any relationships that you have in your life. The 5 love languages are often used for couples counseling. And it occurred to me that it could also be used from, us as daughters towards our parents and showing them love. So I'm just going to see who's on here. Hi, Heather. Hi, Nicole. How are you guys? So basically, using the 5 love languages, and in case you're not familiar with these, there is quality time, physical touch, gifts, acts of service, and words of affirmation. So talking about quality time first, and of course love language means really like how you give and receive love. So in this case, it would be how your father is receiving love from you, based on what you're giving. So for quality time, that would be a great example of, going out to dinner with him, just listening, being there for him, as far as, being a confidant. And, oh, hi, Mom. My mom's on here as well. And yes, so basically quality time. Sorry, people are talking to me here. Then essentially the next one is physical touch. So because their partner has dementia, they're probably not able to hug as often or even, touch their hand. So you can do that. You can give your parent a hug. You can give them a massage. Massages are actually really good for caregivers. And just, that affection that they're no longer getting from their partner. And I don't forget what order I was in, but I think the next one was gifts. So some people just love receiving gifts. So basically it's, and it's not just the amount of money that's spent, it's really the thought behind it as well. So I know Mom, I've gotten her flowers before for Mother's Day and also just because. And also there is... trying to think of where I was. Sorry, guys. Acts of service. So for acts of service, it's basically doing chores, washing the dishes, taking the trash out, and especially with caregivers, they are so busy doing everything else for their loved one with dementia that, they just don't have time to do these things. They'd love to just sit down on the couch and, have a break for 10 minutes. And I also, in my case, my dad used to do a whole lot of chores around the house because my mom was actually working her second job. And so my dad would take care of dinner and garbage and all of that stuff. And now, he can't do it as well, or he can't take the initiative. He needs help doing that. So when I visit my mom, I try to do those things. So my point in telling you about the 5 love languages is really to investigate and sort of do a trial and error for what you think your caregiving parents' love languages are. And, knowing that those are their love languages, that's probably how their partner expressed love for them. And since they can no longer do that anymore because they have dementia, you can actually fit in that role and really, not only be supporting them, financially or visiting them or whatever that may be, but also just really thinking about them as a person. So I know my mom is pretty introverted. And so I know she likes to spend quality time with me, but she also loves to have quality time, for herself. And because, she's taking care of my dad all the time, she doesn't often have that. So that's another way that I help. I also provide words of affirmation. So that's the last one I forgot. Words of affirmation. So, really you're doing a great job. I love you. Really encouraging type affectionate words. And, this is extremely important because, like I said, the caregiver is not really getting it currently. And also it helps them feel like they can go on and feel supported emotionally because they're no longer getting that from their partner. Of course, not as much as they used to. So I'm just going to see if we have any comments. My mom waved. Hi, Mom. Yeah, and so that is basically the 5 love languages. I encourage you to really think about, what your parents need. I think you can apply this also to the person with dementia. So I know, for my dad, I think he prefers quality time. He is in the moderate to severe stages of dementia, but I notice he does follow me around and, so that makes me know that he likes quality time. So I just sit next to him, I put my arm around him. I also know that he likes physical touch. So I did give him a massage last weekend when I visited, and I think he really enjoyed that. So this is something you can apply. And I'm also noticing that there is actually a book out by Gary Chapman applying the 5 love languages to Alzheimer's. So I am actually going to check that out, and I can let you guys know what I think. And Heather says, I love your point about touch. I coach professional caregivers against using gloves unless there is a need. We don't need gloves to give a massage on intact skin. Exactly, because that's really, the only touch that the person with dementia is getting is, feeding or giving medication. And that's really not, the amount of intimacy that they used to feel before having dementia. I can imagine that having dementia, it makes you so lonely. And honestly, my philosophy is that I really feel like the person is still in there. I don't really ascribe to the belief that it's like the empty shell of the person. I really think that you can still love them, be intimate with them, as far as, confiding in them, talking with them, speaking, in an affectionate voice. They're still in there. I just know that my dad can't express himself or communicate the way that he used to. So, any thoughts about your parents' love languages that you can think of? Or I'll wait a couple more minutes here to see if anyone has a response. Okay, no comments. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I hope that you enjoyed learning about the love languages. This is something too that if you're a daughter taking care of your parent with dementia, you can encourage your husband or your partner to provide these love languages for you. So I know, like, my personal love language is words of affirmation is first for me, and then the second one is quality time. And I know for my husband, it is physical touch and acts of service. And he will tell you that I'm still working on acts of service because I do not wash dishes as quickly as I should. But since that is, the way that he interprets an action of love, I'm going to try to work on that. So thanks, Heather. Great seeing you. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining, everyone. I'm so glad that everyone joined. And let me know if I can address any other questions in the future, and would love to hear back from you. And if you want to hear more tips, please go to my website, and I will put the link below. But it's going to be www.joyindementia.com. Put in your email address, and I will send some more tips like this. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.